I believe that parents should definitely have parental controls and just monitoring what their students are taking in on these social media platforms. It could be positive, but also just as it can be positive, also can have negative impact too. And you want to build well-rounded young people. And a lot of that can be done off the screen or off of the device and away from it, and doing things outside in nature, just building that well-rounded young person.
Parents, welcome to the program. As you know, smartsocial.com is all about keeping your kids safe on these digital devices so they can be successful and shine online. That's right, at the age of 16 and above, we're looking forward to showing you the positive benefits of your kids starting to build a resume, a positive online brand when you, the parents, are ready. And we're here to do this in a safe and successful way. I'm the host, Josh Oakes, and we're excited to have the superintendent here.
Hello, I'm Superintendent Jeremy Owoh, located in the natural state, Jacksonville, Arkansas. We have about 8 schools with about 4,500 students total.
Superintendent, it's so good to have you here on the podcast today to ask questions that parents have nationwide, to get insights, share them with other superintendents, district leaders, and parents across the country. All right, Superintendent, my first question that I have for you is around parental controls. We get this question all the time. Superintendent, what suggestions do you have so parents can manage and use parental controls without making kids feel like their privacy might be invaded?
I always suggest to parents when it comes to managing controls, managing their students' devices, to one, always take the opportunity to manage and to review their devices when there are safety concerns, or even just a good practice that I always use as a parent, as an administrator, is to always take time to just learn and find out what my students are doing, what my child is doing on their phones, on social media. And in this day and time, our phones, services, our companies, they have really great parental controls that you can actually manage your students' devices from your phone. And so sometimes you can be checking on your students or your children without them even knowing. But I always think it's a good practice for parents to pay attention to what's happening and what's going on their phones, and of course on social media.
Excellent tip. I like that. And there are so many options here today. And what I hear you say without saying it is, parents also just know that it's ever changing and try and stay ahead, stay updated, and know that you're not alone. We're here to help, which is exciting. Superintendent, the next question we get all the time is about what we call shining online, positive branding yourself, which is so important to every kid, whether it's building a resume or just learning how to use these tools in a positive way to communicate. What advice do you have for parents and for students to help students use social media in a positive way?
I think in this day and age, in this technological age, social media can definitely be used in positive ways. I think about my student athletes, my student performers. You can create highlight reels. You can create virtual resumes, virtual portfolios for students to be able to share with other community organizations or potential collegiate institutions, higher ed institutions. So I think it's always important for parents and students to utilize social media in those ways. And as you know, social media starts to progress and more technology options come available, those ways to promote students and their activities and their skills continue to develop as well. And I think that's a very smart way, because you have a lot of representatives, college, professional representatives watching social media, and you can always tag them into those posts and those reels as well. And so definitely encourage positive use, responsible use techniques and methods for young people and parents.
Yeah. So well said. So many options to do that. I like that. Now, Superintendent, and for all the parents watching right now, parents ask us all the time, Josh, what makes these apps so addictive? Such a great question. Let's hear from students as they explain why they can't stop scrolling.
I think the most addictive part about social media is the constant new content that you see. You're always being introduced to new content, especially on apps like TikTok. I think the short videos, when they end so quick, you start to lose your ability to have a longer attention span. I've caught myself finding long TikTok videos and I can't stand watching the whole thing.
This generation really adapted to the fact that we don't have a large attention span. We really only concentrate for 30 seconds. So getting information that quickly, I think, enables us to just want to keep watching more. You don't even need to care about what they're presenting to you, but just the fact that you can sit there and watch it and you're oddly enjoying it. Social media is pretty addictive. People said it's like a drug. So it is addictive because you can't stop watching it. Your mind just plays on loop and it enjoys the fulfillment of everything firing in your brain to just keep watching.
The next question we get parents is, Josh, is social media positive or negative for my child? Let's hear from a real student and why they think video apps are so addictive.
Part of what makes social media so addictive is how the algorithms are based on using content to judge whether or not someone's worthy, and using people's short attention spans to evaluate them as pieces of code, which also means that social media doesn't really care about your opinion, but really what keeps you on that platform longer, whether that's from likes, comments of engagement, sharing it to other people, or even just watching it through. The algorithm judges you as a piece of data, and whether or not someone should be praised for being controversial or thrown away for not being exciting enough, even if they're pouring their heart and soul into the content. It is a heartless beast. When I spend too much time on social media, that can look like being happy because something really cool happened in my friend's life. They went hiking. A friend of mine saw snow for the first time a couple of days ago, and it can make me feel really happy and energized. But other times, it can just be really draining. It can be really negative. It depends who I'm following. It depends what's being posted.
Superintendent, I want to jump into that same topic that we just heard from these two students, and I'd like to get your insight into screen time, which is kind of subtly what both of those students, all three of those students were talking about. What are your tips that parents can do to better manage screen time at home?
I definitely think that parents, any type of guardian, even at school, school leaders, educators should definitely manage the amount of screen time that our young people have and just set limits. With anything, you need limits. When you think about food, when you think about other hobbies, there's limits that you need to set for yourself. And that's the same thing with screen time. Too much of one thing could be negative outcome or lead to negative outcome. So I definitely think it's important to set a limit to screen time and the type of social media and screens that students are taking in. You definitely want to monitor that. That's another reason why I believe that parents should definitely have parental controls and just monitoring what their students are taking in on these social media platforms. It could be positive, but also just as it can be positive, also can have negative impact too. And you want to build well-rounded young people. And a lot of that can be done off the screen or off of the device and away from it and doing things outside in nature, just building that well-rounded young person.
100% agree. Yeah, so terrific. For all the parents watching right now, remember, if your school district is a partner of ours, you get weekly live events, the live parent replays, and live events you can come to. Remember, there's a Starbucks gift card waiting for you if you attend the live event. Our nonprofit wants you to come to the whole thing, participate in the activities, and protect your community. We also have teen-led videos in every program, just like what you saw from those three young people. And we have a premium parent newsletter that parents all over the country are raving about. In addition, if we've done our job right, parents and principals should feel this way. Josh, before we met you, we had 50 social media incidents per year last year on our campus. Now we're down to 5 incidents, and I have more time to be a school principal again. Deron Wilson, Director of School Engagement, says, Josh, the 50+ live events give our community a chance to join on their phone without software on a date and time that works with their schedule, and there's a replay. In addition, superintendents should feel this way if it's working right in your community. Josh, we can't stay updated on all the latest apps, so we appreciate Smart Social. They're keeping our 8,000 parents in the know. Parents, remember, we have a lot going on. October was anti-bullying month, November disappearing messages every single month. Gone are the days of one social media safety night event. Now we have weekly events, and parents say, I learned that when my child shares something, the issue is likely larger than they first suggest. I found it very helpful to learn what is and is not considered cyberbullying, along with the types of cyberbullying messages. And I learned more about the social media that my kids want to use, as well as helpful tips to understand my teen's communication with her friends. We have hundreds and hundreds of those testimonials. We call them feedbacks. Phenomenal. They're helping our nonprofit get better every single week. We hope that you will join us in one of our live events so we can improve it and help you protect your community. Superintendent, I'm back with you now. Let's talk about avoiding strangers in dangerous situations online. This is a big question we get from parents. What is your advice to parents and students to avoid talking to strangers and avoiding dangerous situations online?
First off, Josh, I think it's really important that parents, guardians take time to have honest conversations with our young people on what should and should not take place on social medias, and some possible negative ramifications for engaging with people who you do not know and who may not have the best intentions. And I think you can do it in a proactive way without scaring your young person. But I think honest, transparent conversations is always going to be important when you're allowing your young person to have a device and to allow them to have presence on social media. There should always be some type of guidelines from our parents' perspective and from any adult perspective when you're allowing a young person on platforms like that. So you should always engage and always check and verify what your young person is always doing, what they're logging into, what they're doing on those platforms, and not just sporadically, but I would say ongoing. You need to make sure you're monitoring their social media presence ongoing. And that's even just logging in to see who they're friends with, checking out. And I like the fact that you all have the disappearing messages session, because those things are real. And
Yeah.
people who have negative intentions, bad intentions, are getting smarter and smarter every day.
So true. And superintendent, we actually, in our program that we teach this month for disappearing messages, one of the biggest key takeaways that we teach based on our expert research team is that when there's disappearing messages, it gives this false sense of hope to kids that, oh, that'll disappear. When you and I both know on the other end, it can be screenshot, or it can be chatting with somebody so inappropriate that they'll screenshot it and do something nefarious with the information. It's just devastating. For parents, that's just a gentle plug to go watch the replay. If your district's a partner, it's free replays, unlimited. And the disappearing messages one also walks you through the 7 steps that our law enforcement team taught us that predators will do to build a wedge between you, the trusted adult and parent and grandparent, and your child. And so they'll say, hey, let's set up another Instagram account. Let's go over here. Don't tell your parents. So what the superintendent just said is so, so valuable. Disappearing messages is hot right now. Now, thank you to all the school districts that have asked us to provide them with a cell phone free solution for their districts. Superintendents like Dr. Don Austin in Palo Alto School District asked us for a solution that helps teachers get students focused in the class, and parents were concerned that a magnet pouch might restrict their children from contacting them in emergency. So our new Velcro pouch offers a hybrid solution, helping teachers instruct, and in an emergency, students can pull their phones out of the Faraday case if they need them. You can contact smartsocial.com if you have any questions and get a free sample of what you see on the right-hand side there. All right, superintendent, my question for you now is around going cell phone free. Boy, is it a hot topic right now. What has been your district's approach or journey to going cell phone free in the classroom?
Well, we initially, I think having taken the time to obtain the different voices, different perspectives and feedbacks from all parties is going to be what's going to be important. And that's what we did. So we surveyed our students, surveyed our staff, surveyed our parents on what a phone-free environment will look like. And we received some really great feedback at the different levels, at middle school and high school. And a lot of our high school students stated, and our staff members stated, that teachers already had their own expectations set for a phone-free environment in the classroom. So they didn't really need a district policy about it on the topic. But what we found out that we still needed to put measures in place to be proactive. And so we're actually piloting a phone-free program at one of our sites just to see at a smaller scale how the implementation will go, so that we can provide that information back to our community, back to our school board on how impactful or not the phone-free environment initiative was for us. And so we're definitely moving in that direction, but we want to make sure it was on a smaller scale so we can be well informed instead of doing it on a larger scale.
I think that's great. Piloting it is very smart. And also, everything's iterative. There's no way that we're going to get it right the first time. So you can
Right.
test it, which is great. Superintendent, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
It was great to have you. And for the rest of you who've been watching, remember, we're here to keep kids safe on social media. It doesn't mean we ignore the tools. We want them to be successful in the future. If you want to learn AI at home, you can do that for free. We have a great AI course. Learn how to use it to reduce cheating, but enhance learning so that every family has a professional tutor at home. No matter your background, no matter what you do, and no matter your language, you can do this at home. There are beautiful tools out there, but we need parental involvement, as the superintendent said. We look forward to seeing all of you on the next episode. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.